Let's bring everyone up. Harry, Rudy, and also Marat. So Harry is the CEO of SMB Nation, which is a big resource center for the world of the channel and SMB. Marat Oyvetsky is Service Delivery Manager, PCSP for Proofpoint, and Rudy Ordaz is the CEO for Realtime Tech. Rudy actually recommended I invite Kenji, so thank you very much for that invite. This panel will be looking at how we develop the resilient workplace of the future, and no better person to lead us away with our wonderful questions than Sam. Sam, you have the floor.
Awesome, and thank you so much, Phelim. I really appreciate being here. We loved the event. We love supporting the event at Secure Smart Office, and absolutely are happy to help continue this event moving forward. It's just been an absolute blast. The one up in LA a few weeks back was a lot of fun, and we definitely had enjoyed participating in it. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm Sam Sailors. I'm the president and co-founder of Secure Smart Office, a MSP here in San Diego, California, working with small and medium-sized businesses. We've been in the intelligence community for just over 40 years. We've really adapted to the remote office and are helping companies turn their temporary solutions into more permanent remote solutions, and have done a lot of work in the remote or the hybrid remote office during this pandemic. All right, so yeah, let's get things started. First off, to the panel, thank you everyone for jumping in. You know, it's always interesting to do this over Zoom, because you get to meet new faces from obviously a scenario where you couldn't normally do so. So it's great to have you all here. We can go ahead and just do a quick introduction for everyone. I'm going to call out based on who's shown up on my screen first. And Harry, if you just want to say hi and tell a little bit about yourself, and we'll move from there.
All right. Well, thanks, Sam, and thanks, Phelim. Always a pleasure. I'm probably I'll start with this introduction. I'm probably the least qualified person to be at a managed security conference, but I'll give it my best. Briefly, my background is I carried the bag in the 90s and 2000s as a consultant. Found out I could type. So these books behind me, Windows Server Secrets and MCSE stuff, wrote a bunch of books on the way up. That grew into a community called SMB Nation. And we're fondly compared to, and it's a compliment, but maybe you're familiar with the community Spiceworks out of Austin, Texas, that's IT pros. We resemble that. We're their friend, but we're the MSP and channel partner side, and they're the IT pro side. So we're all community, and if you know Spiceworks, that just saved 10 minutes of an introduction. Thank you, Sam.
Awesome. Well, again, Harry, thanks for being here. And I love the books behind you. They look great and make for a great backdrop. You don't even have to go virtual like the rest of us here.
I call it the CNN box.
I love it. All right. And I'm sorry, I'm going to do my best on this. Is it Marat?
Marat, that is correct.
All right. All right, Marat, please.
Yeah, I know my parents gifted me with a wonderful first and last name, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, I didn't try on the last name, but still apologies there, but please go ahead.
No problem. Marat Oyvetsky, I'm a service delivery manager for PCSP, which stands for People-Centric Security Program for Proofpoint. My background is in network engineering, but I started drinking the dark Kool-Aid of program and project management. So my years have been spent working with CIO advisory services, helping large companies essentially through their merger and acquisition struggles. And then just this past year, I've migrated over to Proofpoint, doing MSP essentially for people-centric security within Proofpoint for our customers.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. And Rudy, just to let you know, you are on mute, but would love to hear from you as well.
Yeah, hi Sam. Thanks a lot, and thanks to Fallon for the invite down to San Diego. Can't wait to be able to be there in real life. But yeah, Realtime Technologies is a MSP located in the Los Angeles area, and we cater to small, medium-sized businesses, usually 10 to 150 users, and we're really trying to focus on secure remote for the small companies. So during this time of the lockdown, we've seen a lot of projects actually get pushed through that we're waiting. So we've actually been very busy for these past few months, and some clients, didn't really miss a beat. They just picked up their laptops and kept working. They were able to plug in voice over IP phones at home, keep working that way. So we're really trying to provide education and solutions to smaller sized businesses that can really benefit from having an all-in-one service that includes security bundled with their managed services.
Awesome. Awesome, Rudy. And definitely like-minded individuals. So we love your mission. Definitely love supporting small and medium-sized businesses. And obviously your model is very similar. So kudos. Now we have a few questions here, but a good chunk of time to kind of dig into each one of them. So we can do, just raise your hand, or I'll keep an eye out for it. But we'll go through these few questions, but please feel free to kind of dig into it, and let's have a really good group discussion here as we make our way through each one of them, okay? First one starts out with what has happened to the digital workplace since COVID-19, and your interpretation of digital workplace can vary a little bit, but I would love to hear your thoughts.
I'll start off. What we've really noticed is that technologies like Teams and other internal chat solutions that were kind of looked at as something we might do, or it could be nice to jump onto, have been very essential for companies to really get the work done, and really to have a cohesive way of consistently stay in contact with each other. That's really the main one that I've seen from our customers. And we do mostly Office 365 implementations and management. So it would be nice to hear how other businesses and other companies have fared with, maybe the Slacks and other solutions. But we've seen a big uptick in the use of Teams for our customers.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll pitch in. I made a couple notes to prepare for this. So,
awesome.
Two thoughts. One is technical and the other is economic. The technical would be clearly there's a acceleration to the digital transformation coming out of COVID. And, I've done some writing in the area. I consulted with the largest IT franchise group. Well, I chatted with them, CMIT Solutions, a big franchise organization. And as part of my article, we concluded this is a 36-month opportunity for consultants and MSPs and partners. Everybody thought it was like a 3-month opportunity. And yes, that happened. There was a surge. But now, there's the long tail of the opportunity, and it's a perfect forum to talk about it, the security, and people working. Phelan, I think I sent you that photo of a lady's dining room table in San Antonio, Texas. She works for a large bank and a call center. That was it. These boxes arrived at her apartment, and that was it. And she had to figure it out, and she's just a mere mortal. Second, Sam, I've been stunned on the economic front by the strength of the rural real estate market. I had predicted up here a real estate crash. I'd love to buy a home for 50 cents on the dollar in a rural area. Not going to happen because A, rates are low, but B, people now realize that they can work their job from Crested Butte, Colorado. That's a nice life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. And sorry to go off topic on real estate.
No, it's okay. It's close to our hearts here. We just bought a new home as well in a rural area in San Diego, because both my wife and I can obviously do our jobs remotely, and it's just a beautiful area. And I agree. I think a lot of people are experiencing similar scenarios. So that's a good takeaway from it, I think. And I do like the long-term discussion as well. So I'd love to, if anybody else has anything to dive into that aspect, I think that's a really strong piece of the equation, that people have a lot of opportunity to ingest and maybe even pivot some of their current services to take advantage of that.
And if I may close up, basically one of the things that we're finding when this happened, when everyone had to work from home and had no choice but to, certain companies, as was mentioned before, were able to just simply be business as usual. For someone like myself, who's probably worked from home for about 12 years, to my wife's amazement, and the children's annoyance, my children's annoyance when they're home, of course. So for me, it was business as usual. But a lot of other companies actually were very much struggling through this whole experience, and really started seeing lots of holes within their environment, seeing these holes with being able to access, whether it's their files, being able to have constant communication. One thing that's been noticed is that there's definitely a communication uptick, whereas most people were working, let's say, an 8-hour day, now working 11-hour days, just simply because of the fact they're home. They're starting earlier, they're ending later, just because of accessibility. A lot of companies found that they were not prepared at all. My wife is a litigator, and one of the things that we found with the courts is they had to rush to get teams in place as quickly as possible. Everyone has to be arraigned as quickly as possible, and they targeted criminal first. And within that environment, they were able to get either the judge or the court reporter in the same room at the same time, with socially distant, of course.
Sure.
They were able to get counsel in and the criminal arraigned remotely. And for lack of a better term, they were basically testing as they were doing it live. So one of the things the courts found is they were just wholly unprepared for something like this. Now, looking at the way things have matured over the last few months, my wife actually is doing depositions via Zoom, doing court calls via their own proprietary software and via Zoom. For myself, like I said, some companies were prepared and some companies were not. And those that weren't have had a very, very steep learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely has provided a lot of opportunity. The one thing that Proofpoint has seen, just speaking from my company in general, is because we do email protection. There's definitely, with COVID, there's been an uptick in threats against, especially executives within organizations, and the amount of email that's coming in, whether it's phishing, whether it's ransomware, whether it's whatever, targeting specifically the upper director, VP, and C-level executients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if I could jump in, on that one, I want to agree with Marat, because I've been seeing it actually from our clients, where they're getting more. We've seen an uptick as well in phishing attempts, and it's getting more and more sophisticated. And because we do a lot of Microsoft, we see emails that look like Microsoft emails that are coming into somebody's inbox, or it might even show up in their Gmail, and they think, oh, this is from my work, let me click on it, or should I send this to my IT? So there's definitely been an uptick right now with the COVID offers, and because people are now trying to get used to more communications via email, and they're used to getting things now. We're definitely seeing the same thing as well. So I can agree with that one.
Yeah, and especially since working remotely often kind of carries that maybe a little bit more relaxed scenario, especially when you're talking about working 11 hours a day, that means that maybe someone's rolling right out of bed, and all of a sudden you're getting these emails that seem very serious. So you're like, oh no, I need to go ahead and take care of this, but it turns out you've just put yourself into some trouble. I think a lot of companies are up and running, but now again, we're trying to look at the future at something a little bit more stable, more secure, and more permanent, even in a remote situation. So how do you all feel, or how can SMBs of the future adopt to digital innovation and remote working without opening up to new security threats?
I don't know. Go ahead, somebody.
I think it goes back to the same lessons that, you know, we've kind of been pushing for the last few years, where, you know, I've noticed from the vendor side, our vendors are trying to do more and do more quickly, because nobody wants to be associated with that next breach. Nobody wants their name kind of tied to that. So we see that I've noticed our vendors are pushing out more updates, pushing out more security. And from the customer side, we are now, it's more serious, and it's like, instead, you know, we can all say, I told you so, but it's a lot of that. Like, I told you this was real. I told you this is a, you know, a real threat, you know, that we have to be aware of. You know, ransomware is going after 5-person companies. You know, ransomware will get you, even if you're a $5 million business or a $200 million business. So unfortunately, you know, a lot of small businesses are learning these lessons firsthand, but it's those same lessons that we have to do our part as far as securing systems, but also that social engineering part of consistently giving that message of, look, if it looks like you have a question, you know, flag your IT professional down and let us, you know, jump on it right away. Because our alerts, we jump on our alerts, but there's nothing better than a user saying, this looks weird, I'm not gonna touch it, please, you know, have IT work on it.
There's also something to be said in this. There's also something to be said in this environment as well. One of the things, well, there's two paths that we can take, right? There's the path of the security organizations and the security companies who basically drink their own Kool-Aid, who understand what they need to do to be prepared for something like this. And then there are companies who have been a little bit more lax in their security, or have felt like they hadn't needed it in the past. To coin a couple of phrases, one of my kids in my favorite book series, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling wrote about Mad-Eye Moody, where he screamed constant vigilance, right? It's to that effect that a lot of security companies, or even to coin another phrase, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not coming to get you. A lot of security companies basically think that it's like, think like a bad guy, but do good, right? Where they will say, look, we know that this is possible. We know that that is possible, and we need to safeguard against this, that, and the other. Other companies have, in the last 4 or 5 months, have literally had to go through a learning curve where they've had bad things happen to them, had ransomware happen to them. They have been phished, they have been spoofed. They've had losses where someone spoofs a financial director's email to say, hey, I need the account number for such and such an account. Can you please get that to me? And all of a sudden $1 million disappears from that bank account. Things like that have happened, and companies have learned to rely on other organizations who are the professionals to come in and help advise them. So there's definitely been a good opportunity for those security companies to not only help themselves, but also help their customers and help new customers as well.
Yeah, so let's try to tie all this together. The last couple of questions, you know, we're talking about long-term view, long-term vision. We're talking about protecting the SMBs, or I mean, whoever your clients are. Where do you think the MSPs should go from here, based on the current environment and the items that we've already talked about? How do we tie this together, and where should MSPs go from here?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. Again, maybe not the answer you might expect on a forum like this. By the way, on the last question, if you don't mind, so shout out to KnowBe4 for the user training. That's becoming a huge component. And one of my jobs, Sam, is I'm an analyst with my blogging. And so I get these pitch kits from, you know, this came overnight. And this is apparently a new firm that would be, at the end of the day, a competitor to KnowBe4. And I mean that kindly, because to me, it's validating the category, right? So Stu got out in front with KnowBe4 and to some extent created the category. And now we're seeing natural maturity. You were asking what changes are going. So now we're starting to see more competitors to know before, and that's going to happen. So, in any event, to answer the question, where do MSPs go from here quickly? I'm just real fond of people thinking about the labor markets, like Work Market and Field Nation and so on, because think about it. An SMB MSP may have a little extra time on their hands these days, just they might. And what if you went to Work Market and, let's say, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, the railroad, for all their Dallas employees, they needed some contractors for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to get them set up at home securely for remote work. I understand that's not the MRR revenue model. I get it. But Sam, that's one of the things I was thinking about and preparing for today is, guys, if you're not busy on Friday, you might want to pop up on the labor boards and go help set up someone at home.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a resource. I appreciate you bringing it up that maybe folks didn't know about. And if they do happen to be in that scenario, maybe it could help get through a slower time or whatnot. I appreciate you bringing that up to the group.
Yeah.
Thank you. Marat, Rudy?
Actually, Rudy, do you want to take it and I'll close it up?
Yeah. From MSP firsthand point of view, what we're recommending and what we've done internally is kind of rework our offerings so that we can bake in security. For a very long time, and a lot of us that have been in MSP for a few years have, we've gone through several schools of thought as far as, if you're running the business, how do I get the most out of what I'm billing for? Because it is a business. But how do we provide the best service? And now what we've done is, instead of saying, well, do you want help desk, backup and recovery, security? Now those are not options. We need to teach our clients that security is part of IT service.
And that's where you're protecting too.
Right.
As the MSP.
Right. So as the MSP, we don't make it an option that our systems are going to be insecure, and it shouldn't be an option that our client systems are going to be insecure. So that's easier said than done, because that's expertise that you have to bring in. You have to sometimes work with a company like yours, Sam, bring in other resources so that we get our products and our offerings secure. But we're still trying to deal with, okay, I need to offer a service that's secure, has a margin, and I can provide the best service that I'm promising to clients. And I think the future that's the way it's going to look as MSPs and MSSPs kind of come closer in the market. And that service is your IT service has got to be secure, and it's got to be validated by maybe an external entity. A third party needs to be brought in to make sure that your MSP is secure. And so that you're not just saying, well, I'm secure because I said so. Well, no, also there's this other company that can audit us, and we'll happily, quarterly or yearly or whatever the contract says, we make sure that we're secure and our clients are secure.
Yeah, and again, that protects everybody. And I know, at least from our experience, we've had significantly less kickback from customers when we have combined those offerings with security. The unfortunate scenario that we're currently living in has thankfully kind of softened those roadblocks for at least our experience, when we're saying, no, this is a little bit more expensive, but it's got that security built in. And so Marat, you want to go ahead and close us out on that final question there?
Yeah, I think just looking at it from a programmatics perspective, one of the things I see companies constantly do is they treat their security audits as a checkbox, right? And in many cases, they'll do a security audit maybe once every other year, once every year, because they were secure knowing that they had a physical secure space, that it was their building, their campus, whatever. And they would check the box once every other year, once every year, to satisfy the shareholders' security requirements for any partners that they work with. That's no longer the case. You now have your footprint of where your company resides is basically residing in people's homes and other locations that people use as offices that are in conjunction with other people's shared space, with children, with spouses and whatnot. So you have quite a number of new risks associated with the work environment. And one of the things that all of these managed service companies have to be, that specifically deal with security, have to deal with and have to make recommendations for is, hey, you need to do security assessments, not only yearly, you need to probably look at doing it either every 6 months, every quarter, to really understand your security threats and specifically understand your security environment. Case in point, one of the things I constantly witness is my wife's dealings with the depositions that she has or the court calls. And in many cases, a lot of that is very proprietary. Well, I shouldn't say proprietary, but it's very confidential to her clients and to some of the closed trials that she deals with because she is a litigator. The one thing that saves me is spousal privilege, right? So if I overhear it, it's fine. I'm here in the house. But what happens? We have open windows. Someone hears her deposition outside, or the gardener hears her deposition outside. That becomes a security threat. So companies really have to change their perspective. It's no longer brick and mortar. It's no longer fence. It's no longer VPNs or firewalls. You're now dealing with a whole new environment, and the entire security threat assessment has to be completely reviewed. A new assessment has to be created, and frequency has to be created every quarter or every 6 months.
It's almost like you're promoting our secure smart office talk a little bit later in the day. So definitely like-minded on there, and I certainly appreciate that. And hopefully everybody listening will stick along for the ride for that later afternoon when Rusty, our CEO, will be talking through very similar topics to that. And I'm just glad we're all on the same page. Well, everyone on the panel, I super appreciate everyone being here. I loved the perspectives. All over the place, but with it seemingly a similar mindset and mission to help SMBs and to some really cool, fun ideas on moving the MSP forward. So thank you, everyone. And thank you again, Phelan, for putting this all together. And I know we didn't have time for questions, but I hope everybody found a lot of value in the discussions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. Thank you very much, panel. We did have some nice comments throughout the thing. Stephen particularly liked what Rudy said. I don't know what it was because it was back, but it was very good what you said. And Jordan wonders about SOC Type 2, which in fact Jordan's going to come on and talk about very soon. Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. Harry, Marat, and Rudy, a round of applause for our wonderful panel.
And thank you as well.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Here, let me get a selfie, folks. Everybody wave. 1, 2, 3. All right. They'll be up on Phelan. They'll be up on LinkedIn in a few minutes.
All right. Very good. Very good. I'll catch you all soon, and I'll see you on the next SMB Nation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. So how are we doing? We've got lots of nice comments. Rachel is still there, snapping, snap. Is that a cappella? I don't know. Is that what's that show with all those a cappella singers? Anyway, I'm sure it's really good. Thank you to all of our supporters, without whom we can't do this event. Please keep checking out LinkedIn and using this MSS San Diego hashtag. Harry mentioned that he'll put up that nice picture. There's more pictures up there even now. More people are doing it. There's stuff on Twitter. Nobody's doing a TikTok dance yet, but to be fair, I haven't checked. But if you are doing a TikTok dance, please post the link in the chat box, and we can all have a good laugh. Now, next up, we have a fantastic topic, which is the SOC of the future. We in fact did a dedicated event to that back in June. Yes, the hashtag, Harry, is MSS San Diego. So it's 3 S's there. Let me just pop that in. MS San Diego. I'll just all panelists and attendees. Away we go. Is that too many S's? No, that's too many S's. Wait a minute. MSS San Diego. There we go. I've got it up on the screen. It's 3 S's in the middle. So, SOC of the future. It is the topic that we discussed in July, so last month. And now I feel it needs to be an integral part of this conversation. Should it be simply in your mobile phone? Should it be a GSOC, an ISOC, a NOC? What should we do with it, and what is this going to mean for the managed security service? So I am going to welcome up to the stage some fantastic panelists, some of whom you may have seen before, and some of whom you may not have seen before. Let me just make sure that everyone is there before I tell you about them. And there we go. Just making everyone a panelist. And Yenai, are you there? Are you there? Yes. Right. So as everyone gets their screen set up, we have Zishan Kazmi, interim CISO, Zygotech, previous speaker. So thank you, Zishan, for making it. Everybody recognizes Dr. Akshay Bharat-Hill, who's the president of the Intelligence Research Institute. We have Yenai Marinkovic, virtual CISO at T-Rose Security. Jordan Kamba, a technical account manager at SOC Prime. Jordan was on a panel last year at the Automotive Museum, so welcome back. And I've invited Ali Pabrai up. Let's see, Ali, are you there? You're in the panelist section, but let's get you set up. Anyway, as that all works out, welcome panelists. It's a pleasure to have you here. I especially like Akshay's setup. You look very professional, Akshay. You're on mute.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Very good, very good, very good. Let me just do one shout out to Ali. Ali, you're a panelist, but I can't see or hear you. Can you hear us? Not to worry, not to worry. So we have a diverse group of organizations. We have virtual CISOs, we've got MSP, we've got people that specialize in SOC, we've got a research institute, and we have a solution provider, which is what we need to work out what this SOC of the future is. But let me start with the very simple question: what is the SOC of today? Let's start somewhere. Yenai, let's start off with that very, very nebulous question. Before we think of the SOC of tomorrow, what is the SOC of today?